was a boy. He was also a boy. Fuck your heterosexuality. I may or may not just have some caffeine. It may or may not be fucking 12 a.m. Fuck you. Hello, my lovelies. I'm Ray, and welcome back to another fanfiction. This time I have something different for you guys, and for me, it's probably gonna be one of the few times I do this. It is going to be a Overwatch fanfiction called, I don't even remember what it's called. It's called Junk. It's a Roadhog / Junkrat fanfiction. And say I don't read a lot of these because I don't. I'm not a yaoi fan at all. So yeah, this is the kind of fanfiction I'm reading today. It actually seems very interesting from like the first chapter I read. So let's fucking do this, mate. Let's get into Australian root. If that was not Australian. Fuck it. Fox. Roadhog spoke silently, his voice echoing through the small, cold room, wheezing softly behind his gas mask. He was holding his hook in hand. Jamison leaned against a box of gold they had just stolen, victoriously playing with a bomb he made. Sup, hog? The smaller junker hummed, unaware of the shitstorm that was coming for him. After a few seconds of silence, Roadhog spoke up, his words slow and seemingly processing even for the giant. He formed them slowly and clearly so Jamison can hear him clearly and loud. Time slowed down for the flaming rebel, and even the gleaming lights on the tips of his hair slowly went out. Streaks of smoke slowly became smaller and smaller. A knot grew in his throat as it felt like he was being suffocated. All oxygen sucked out of his damaged lungs. You're kidding, right? Come on, mate. It's not April 1st. You promised to stay with me. Got enough loot. That's gonna be his fucking voice. That deep voice that Roadhog got? Nah. I got that high range. I'm a fucking soprano, man. I ain't got time for that. I tried my hardest. Was all the tubby fighter huffed before turning his back towards Junkrat, not glancing back. It's time I leave, he added, and left the broken young adults sitting by the loot which they had fought so much for. The gold roughly clanged as Junkrat shifted his weight weakly. Roadhog left. He left him behind. After all they went through, he just vanished. The room suddenly felt cold and his chest felt empty. His body and mind was paralyzed. It was like Roadhog's words replayed in his head again and again. Everything went by so fast, yet it felt so slow. The deep voice which gruffly spoke kept on sending shivers down the pyromaniac's spine and causing him to tremble. The fire in his hair slowly died out, and something slowly began to trickle down his dirty cheeks. He was crying. The Australian left him for no reason. A sudden flush of anger glistened in his mind, which caused him to angrily jolt up to his feet, rushing to a wall, his flaming hair flailing everywhere. Roadhog left him! A loud clang echoed through the room. He left him! His broken metal hand dangled loosely, pieces of scrap metal dangling from cracks in the wall. He threw him away after all he did for him? He wasn't just some trash Roadhog can throw away. He was a human being. He was an acquaintance. He was a lover. His heart suddenly felt crushed. He loved the man. He cared for him. He felt used. Memories slowly flooded the maniac's mind, his everything gone. His world was crushed. Mako disappeared. Forever. Fox stumbled back and tried to stay on his feet, but his wooden leg got stuck in a crack in the ground. The spring snapped as he fell back, his thigh flinging up, the spring hitting his forehead and scratching it. Blood trickled down his face as he stared at the stub of what used to be his replacement leg. Roadhog would know what to do. Roadhog always did. But now, get away from me. I've actually got no idea who's speaking at that line. I'm gonna assume it's Junkrat and that Mako's already just fucking gone. He's out of there. He's like, nah, man. Nah, fuck you. I'm out. Fuck this shit, I'm out. But yeah, you see why I'm reading this, because it's actually not that bad. But at the same time, it's yaoi, which I'm not a fan of. For some reason, I don't know why I'm not a fan of yaoi, alright? It seems like a trope that girls and like lesbians seem to be into yaoi because it's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But it just doesn't appeal to me whatsoever. Like, at all. Like, no. I ship Roadhog and Junkrat because, you know, I just feel like it. But like, for instance, like McHanzo, no. One that sounds like fucking McDonald's goddamn item on the menu, like a fucking sushi burger. What the McHanzo? It's like a nice mixture of Japanese and American food all in one. Doing the sex. Not the sex, but you know what I mean. God, I really should sleep instead of doing this. Blood gushed up Jamison's damaged throat as he spewed stomach acid and who knows what all over his loot. He felt ill. He felt sick and disgusted by what just happened. Roadhog meant the world to him, and he was just left behind. After a few moments of just his coughs, hacks, and other not-so-comforting noises echoing through the now-silent room, the flaming rebel finally got himself together. Then he fell on his knees and stared at the ceiling as he thought about his past and what he did wrong. The sound of gold falling and clanging deeply and loudly mixed with churning bodily fluids mixing filled the place as the junker slowly pushed himself up on his broken peg leg, shakily grasping for air. Everything hurt. His body ached and he felt like he was dying on the inside and the outside. His thigh didn't appreciate the sudden weight being put on one leg and thus nearly instantly collapsing, feeling as vulnerable as ever. Roadhog was constantly on his mind, his entire body trembling. Mako helped him in so many things. What did he do wrong? The junker lay there in a mix of earthly goods and vomit, his entire body shivering as his slicked-up hair slowly drooped down, vomit even at the roots of his hair. He despised the smell, but felt too weak to move. He looked miserable, like a tiny rat. He was a Junkrat after all. Mako was walking away slowly with the mind that he got from Junkrat when he got employed by the mutt of a man. Only use it in emergencies, mate! Take the special one! He would giggle and cover his mouth with his filthy little palms the tank adored so much. He was so upbeat and happy all the time, but the Australian promised himself not to get attached to a small junker. After his shift was up and he got his money, his contract ended, and he got what he needed. He got it a long time ago. Fox didn't understand explosive as much as he did today. He would run around combusting all sorts of things. Trees, piles of rocks, rabbits, and even people. He went too far one day, though. He blew up an oil tanker. Fuck! He screamed as he felt pain rushing through his arm. His lower arm flinged off, fire everywhere. He felt ill to his stomach. Roadhog! He screamed out, his foot jammed under some gunk. Mako! Please! I don't want to die here! He cried out, his voice projecting helplessness and weakness. His body trembling in fear. The only thing keeping his arm attached was a few ligaments and a bit of skin, blood covering his right side. I'm here, pipsqueak. Mako huffed and rushed to him sluggishly, lifting the smaller one roughly, not noticing his foot was jammed. He tore him out of the fiery mess and the smaller junker screamed. Me foot! He cried and hacked, his face turning paler and paler from blood loss. That's when Mako got his payment for a lifetime, a partner in crime, a lover. But good things can be too much too. God, my Roadhog boys is so god awful! I don't want to be emotionally invested in a goddamn explosive nightmare and Roadhog. I don't want to be emotionally invested in that shit, alright? I already got emotionally invested with goddamn Tracer and Emily and fucking, what's it called? Fair Mercy, which is by far my favorite shipping. Fair Mercy is bae shipping, and if they're not gay for each other, then fuck you, Blizzard. No, I'm joking. I don't actually give a shit. I'm gonna accept that regardless. Everyone at Overwatch is gay. Fuck you. You can't tell me I live my life. Silence. The sounds of battle cries filled the mutt's ears as he emptily stared at the nothingness, his entire body trembling. Blood drooled down his scarred lips and cheeks. The boy must have been about 20, if not 21. He looked worn out, his eyes discolored to an odd tint of orange. His entire frame was trembling and his body was thin. His face and back were coated in small scars, his chest with a giant gash on it. The man, no, more like the boy, looked lost, tired and worn out. His body was shivering and he felt fragile, and his skin was tinted somewhat yellowish due to the radiation. And the battle cries? Oh, they were people fighting for food, of course. Fighting for non-radiated food as the wasteland storm went on, the wind blowing, stinging, and burning sand into the... Oh! Fighting for non-radiated food as the wasteland storm went on, the wind blowing, stinging, and burning sand into the innocent man... Fighting for non-radiated food as the wasteland storm went on, the wind blowing, stinging, and burning sand into the innocent-looking man's wounds. But no reaction. He just stared at what he just lost. This was his home. But now it's ruined. As he stared, he realized this wasn't some nightmare. It wasn't some sick dream. This was the stone-hard reality. But now, everything disappeared, and he was back in the room full of loot. Jameson never wished to die before, but now he just wanted to do so. He felt useless. What's the point? After all, without Roadhog, he wouldn't be able to make it. He needed the hog. He had to have him by his side. If he didn't, he wouldn't be alive. Roadhog just stared at the mine Fox gifted him before slowly pulling his mask off to get a better look at it in the corner where no one would see him. The mine was obviously made by the runt. You can tell by the messy use of screws, the springs sticking out everywhere, and the unusual shapes and scratches on the firearm. It even had the trademark smiley face that the Aussie with the stitched lips and crossed out eyes. Mako stared at it before observing smaller bits and noticing something. With love was scratched on the bottom of the mine, which sent shivers down the tank's spine. It was obvious what Junkrat meant. It was crystal clear. Rootledge stared at the scratches for long before grabbing his mask and pulling it in his face. Fuck! He roared and slammed the mine against the ground, kicking it. Boom. Boom! Kablooey! And y'all wonder why I ain't a Junkrat main. A giant explosion set Junkrat springing up, listening. The explosion was coming from nearby. He could tell. Mako laid in a pool of his own blood on his side, looking like a hunted, once majestic wild boar. His mask half slipped up in tears and saliva, maybe even some snot were drooling from his mask into his pool of necessary fluids. His body was weak, and he could barely breathe due to the gigantic gash in his chest, his ribcage crushed on his side. Roadhog wasn't able to think of anything other than Junkrat. The cunt cared about him. He genuinely gave a shit. And he blew it. Now literally. Hey, now, you know, no, I was gonna team up. Fuck y'all. Let's leave y'all for the cliffhanger. I don't know what happens next. Y'all don't know what happens next. Now we all suffer together. Also because I'm really fucking tired at this point, and I probably should start actually trying to calm the fuck down so I can go to sleep tonight and not end up staying all night, because that would be a bad time now, wouldn't it? So either way, that was Junk, an Overwatch fanfiction about Junkrat and Roadhog, which I ship. I kind of ship. And granted, I am going to be more to my own time, and I'm going to put a link in the description below so you guys can read also. Helping out Author-chan over here with the cliffhangers. Hey, Lamau! Oh, totally non-intentional, but you're welcome, Author-chan. But yeah, so I actually kind of enjoyed this one. This is actually not bad. Maybe I should read more good fanfiction. Oh wait, I have been. Actually, now that I think about it, I've been reading a lot of good fanfictions lately. Like, fanfictions I've genuinely liked, and it's a nice feeling. Granted, I miss those terrible fanfictions that made me question my life choices, but, you know, it's nice to read something good every once in a while. Maybe next week I'll read something god-awful. I'll go back to that normal trend soon, eventually. Who fucking knows? Either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, recommend me fanfictions, whether it's a fandom or an actual fanfiction. I'm always looking for suggestions because I don't know. Maybe I'll go find another, like, My Little Pony fanfiction because either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to be battle choice. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye, my lovelies.